everyone, it's Anne at Martin House Flowers. Hope you're all having a good week. I thought I would just share in this video how my south garden, the front of the house, is doing. My daffodils are blooming, the tulips are starting to pop out, and so are the peonies. They're budding nicely. And also my Globemaster alliums should be coming up soon. I think I have 5 bunches in this bed here with the peonies and a few irises too that I don't recall if they bloomed last year, but in any case, there's my front porch. I'm all ready for spring. And here are the containers we planted together the other day. That's that beautiful primula, my perennial container with the scabiosa violas and candy tuft, and of course my forest bulbs that were sitting in the garage. I can't wait to see what color those tulips are going to be. And these violas and pansies we planted together. And I did put back my basket for the front door after removing the nest. I'm sorry, birds. I decided I didn't want you nesting on the front door again. So in today's video, I took a little trip to our local Bloomin' Gardens in Sycamore. I'm in Zone 5B, Northern Illinois, and look at their beautiful magnolia tree budding out. This local nursery has a lot of beautiful containers, whether they be stone. They have that Campagna collection, and they're quite gorgeous, a little bit pricey, but beautiful nevertheless. And they have a lot of ironwork that I've always been drawn to. And all of this beautiful iron and decor for the garden. Great gifts for Mother's Day, hint, hint. And I think we bought our rain gauge here a couple years ago. Lots of great rustic ideas. Don't think that's a functioning faucet, but I guess you could put a plant in there. I love these hanging planters. I was drawn to these, of course, heart-shaped. I thought, that would look nice even in the greenhouse. Or hanging right next to my my hanging baskets. So they had 20% off their outdoor containers, pots, I guess. I don't know if that applied to the iron, but still, I wasn't in the market for it. But I did love, I don't know if I captured, they had the pussy willow shrubs or trees at the front. I had never come across any of those. This nursery has a lot of unusual or just, unique perennials. I've bought some perennials around the greenhouse, some shade perennials, more containers here. And I bought my dappled willow tree here last year, whereas I've never come across it before. I loved all these natural, rustic, kind of Mexican influenced pots. Really like this one. They had all of the glazed clay pots on special, but I'm not sure if these ones, I guess they would be on special too at 20% off. Of course, they had the classic blue that I've had for many, many years. And these iron art pieces, I guess they would be like screens, iron screens, decorative screens. They were quite pretty. We're thinking of ideas. We're trying to come up with an idea for the patio area between the kitchen garden and the edge of our patio. Although it's north facing, so you get morning shade, but you get this late afternoon sun that can get quite intense. So we're always looking for ideas, whether to do a screen of some sort, whether it be from wood or iron or some trees even. I came across these beautiful trees that you'll see in a second. But I love this arrangement. They have all these beds that are planted up with bulbs right now, where they display all of their iron garden decor. And they even had this little shed that had those familiar wall hangings, plaques. But I really love this rooftop garden they had on the shed with moss. And next to it, a doghouse that I guess had some moss at some point too. Now look at these beautiful Canadian hemlocks. I have not come across these before here in Illinois. And I was surprised to see that they actually like shade. So this might be a consideration to plant around our patio. We have one spot at the end of our patio, just in front of our kitchen garden, that we'd like to come up with a solution for some privacy and to basically block the afternoon sun. We get this late afternoon sun that gets quite intense, especially in the summer, just before the sun sets. But the rest of the time, the rest of the day, it's shade on our patio, so that might be a consideration. So as I walk towards the back of the Bloomin' Gardens area where they normally have perennials, I notice it's still early. They don't have a lot out yet. I talked to one of the staff and they said that they were just pricing the new shrubs that were coming in. So some of these that are out are last year's stock. They've always had a big selection of trees and shrubs and flowering shrubs like hydrangeas. And they do sell the 3 and 4 gallon pots. And they had some of these tall standard hydrangea trees that were really interesting. I wonder if that might be something nice to plant around the patio. And I was actually looking for some of these hollies that I've been seeing on other gardening channels. Hollies that would resemble the boxwoods, because if you've watched my previous videos, I had to dispose of my 2 Chicagoland boxwoods that were at the front porch, and I had just planted them last spring in the tall blue containers, and they got overcome by spider mites. So I talked to the lady at the back, and they didn't have any of the hollies in yet. So I'm just looking around at all the different shrubs. They did have, I think they had blue gem boxwoods. And look at that beautiful magnolia. So this is towards the front of the shop where this Bloomin' Gardens is actually a venue for weddings. They do sort of a courtyard wedding if you want, and your guests get to walk around the gardens, which are really planted up nicely and decorated nicely for your special day. But I love those carrots, the carrot decor. I don't think they were for sale, but I thought they were very cool to have. So I didn't come home with any new plants or shrubs, but I did come home with this cute galvanized metal birdhouse that I'd been wanting. I've been wanting to hang something that could withstand our weather conditions, so hopefully this one holds up. It's hanging off our lilac tree. So back home under the grow lights, I wanted to share with you an update on these gomphrena that we sowed together just a little while ago. This is about after a week. That's a tray of gomphrena white. Some of the cells are empty, and then others have 2 or 3 seedlings. So I'm wondering whether or not I should transplant a couple of those duplicates into empty cells. And here is a tray of celosia, some of the carnations. This is a white Joanne Dion carnation. Actually, that's a soft pink one, I think. And some of them are kind of flopping over. I'm wondering if I need to transplant. And in the greenhouse, here are my tulips and hyacinths in containers that are starting to sprout. They're nice and sheltered from the wind, so I think they'll have a longer life. These ones finally bloomed, a nice off-white, creamy, yellowy white, and the hyacinths. This is the container that fell over on my wagon when I was pulling out of the garage, and I planted some of my viola seedlings in there. So that's encouraging. The container in the back was planted in February. And there are my sweet peas in the containers that will also eventually make their way back onto the patio. More hyacinths, grape hyacinths, the teeny ones. Some of my seedlings of pansies and violas. More grape hyacinths. And finally, the third container with sweet peas. So here are my snapdragons, salvia, trays and trays of snapdragons. And just outside, you'll see that my little lime hydrangea hedge have all been pruned. My stepdaughter and I worked on that on Sunday. It was a beautiful day, and then it got cool again. So I did test out a couple of snapdragons in these containers with violas and pansies. This is my topiary I need to prune. So there's some snapdragons in the center of these clay pots, and I wanted to see if they would do well. And we did some edging. My oldest stepdaughter came in here and edged for me. She did a really nice job. We widened this bed. And here I am a little concerned about some of the perennials that we had put in here. We had put in some Roxanne geranium, some little mini quick fires, hydrangeas, I believe. And there's just been so much rabbit pressure along here that I'm so worried about what's going to come up. I'm really worried about what's going to come up there, but we'll see. It's still a little early. And here is around the corner, we have 3 hydrangeas. And there is the hedge of little limes that we pruned. So happy to get those done. We were seeing lots of new buds, and of course little limes grow on new wood. Here across from the greenhouse are my bloom-struck hydrangeas that had been sheltering some baby bunnies that are hopefully gone. Here is my dappled willow tree, which is budding out nicely. I did buy this from Bloom & Gardens last fall. And coming along here with our hostas, there is Molly, our duck that's nesting her babies. And some more hydrangeas, endless summer hydrangeas. And here's a pulmonaria that I pulled forward in front of the hostas. And taking a look there at the windy alliums that will be coming up soon. Well, I'm hoping that Molly's little ducklings survive this early spring. She's not sheltered at all. She's definitely camouflaged, but I'm just worried about her. And those tulips are starting to sprout out, and they're quite short, so I'm curious to see what they're like. These are the tulips. The ones in the front are the ones I planted in February versus these taller tulips and grape hyacinths. They were all planted in the fall. And this bin, this metal bin, has some tulips that aren't really sprouting either. There's a bunch of potted up perennials back there, some bulbs. So I think today, to finish off the video, I just wanted to share with you some of the seeds that I still need to sow this month of April. A few of them I didn't get done in March, but that's okay. It's been quite a cool spring. There's all of my strawberries, and those feathery ones were right there. Those are my chamomile. I have trays and trays of chamomile. And we potted up some ageratum. Here we are in the kitchen garden in the backyard, and I wanted to share with you how my tulips are doing and the direct sowing that we did together in a previous video. I have two varieties of snow peas growing around this obelisk that I'm super excited about. I'm seeing germination. It's always exciting. And I wanted to get those started early because before tomatoes come in here. So there are 2 rows of different varieties of lettuce. And on the far left, that's bok choy. And I have some carrots coming in, but I don't see them right now. And I do have carrots that you'll see in the winter sowing jugs here. So I'm going to pull those out and possibly pot them up or just transfer them into this bed here because this is my kitchen garden. So those are the corral carrots that are in there, and I get them mixed up with the poppies. So one of those that I'm pulling out that have kind of the spikes are poppies. Those are bachelor's buttons. They're doing well, of course. I think I'm going to have an abundance of bachelor's buttons. I winter sowed some and I direct sowed some, and that's agastache. I'm only seeing one seedling, which is a bit disappointing. Maybe it's going to come up later. So this is, these are some poppies right here, and there's papaver poppies. So I have 2 jugs of poppies that I need to research as to whether or not I should pot them up or just put them into my raised cut flower bed directly. Let me know if you've winter sowed poppies and what you did with them, if you potted them up or put them in the garden beds. So that's the update on my winter sowing. Hi everyone, hope you've made it this far in the video. In this second half of the video, I thought I would go through some of the seeds I still need to sow this coming month of April. And some of them were actually in my March list, I think, but I ran out of time in the month of April, so that happens. It's getting quite sunny here, so in the greenhouse, so I thought I'd wear my glasses. Hope you don't mind. But the first group of cut flowers I will be doing are cosmos. So I was watching a video of Lisa Mason Ziegler, who is the author of Cool Flowers, and she did a sort of a critique of the different Cosmo varieties, and I picked 3 of my favorites from her group that she thought were proven varieties. So the first one is Cupcakes Blush, and I did grow Cupcakes Blush last year. And Cupcakes Blush, they call it that because it has that beautiful sort of ridge of a cupcake holder. And although they call it blush, there was a lot of white in my mix, but there's a lot of soft pink and whites in there. So I'm really excited about Cupcakes Blush. And turns out I have 2 packages of Cupcakes Blush. And then I have Afternoon White, which is a very popular traditional Cosmo flower. If you're hearing some scratching on the ground, that's Eddie just playing with the gravel, trying to get comfortable on the ground. So this is Cosmo's Afternoon White, and you are to either direct seed these after your last frost, or you can sow them in 50 cell plug flats or in any preferred seedling container. And it's important that you sow these after last frost outdoors. So, or plant them after last frost. And it's a good idea to thin them when the true leaves appear, and that just creates stronger branches and branching. So the other color that I'm super excited about is rubenza. Rubenza is sort of I would call it sort of a raspberry, so definitely in the reddish family. And these are just so pretty. I can't wait to sow these. They're a little bit similar to the standard Cosmo package that you see at your local big box store, but these are definitely a fuller variety. And the last one I have is fizzy white, and it looks like I have a lot of white, but I do like a lot of Cosmos for fillers. And I did sow probably maybe close to a tray last year, but I felt like I could definitely use more, and I want to do at least half a bed of Cosmos. And last year I did do these two varieties from Baker Creek, and that was apricot lemonade. If I have room, I might sow some more of those so I have more than just white Cosmos. And then I have xanthos that I don't remember seeing these come up. So I do have these left over. The next cut flower that I'm going to be doing is Statice. Last year I just tested some Statice, and it was the traditional purple kind or purple color. But this year I have Johnny's pastel mix. I have two packages again. So, and they were both tested in 2024. Oh, no, this one was tested in 2023, so I should try to use this up. Um, so this is Johnny's pastel mix, and it's a beautiful combination of pastel pinks, yellows, and apricots. And the beauty of Statice is that I'm sure most of you are familiar with the dried Statice. So the dried flower resembles pretty much identical or as the actual plant itself, and there's super sturdy stems. I just tested a few, I think a little 6 cell pack, and I ended up throwing them in with my kitchen garden last year, and they did so well. I'm hoping to use them if I still end up doing the wedding crown for my daughter's wedding. So I'll definitely try to save some of those. And then I have Seeker Blue Statice, which is a nice purpley blue. And then I have a couple more here. These are all filler flowers that I'm talking about today. Amaranth. Amaranth was one of my favorite top 10 cut flowers that I did last year. And next to Celosia, I have to say Amaranth was thicker, fuller, and a beautiful, rich, kind of plummy burgundy late summer fall filler flower. And I'm super excited to still have some seeds left, and I'm happy that I'm going to use up this package this season. And then I have two types of salvia. I have Swan Lake salvia, and I have Sky Dance salvia. And these are really exciting because they're a perennial in my zone. They're perennial in zones 4 to 8. And they reach about 20 to 27 inches tall. I believe both of them do. Well, this one does anyway, the Swan Lake. And let's see. Oh, and they're both frost hardy. So I definitely could have started these sooner. So you sow these seeds 1/16 of an inch below the surface of the soil. Keep moist until germination. Start indoors 6 weeks before the last frost date. Prefers full sun, thrives in mild humidity and well-drained soil. So I'm super excited about salvia. And then I have some coleus. And I was inspired by my friend Jen at Pretty Little Garden. She's always done beautiful containers with coleus. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put these in my beds or my landscape beds, flower beds, or in containers. But I'm super excited to start these and hope that they do well for me. They need, you start these seeds indoor in early spring, you cover them lightly, keeping them warm, and they prefer filtered shade in hot summer areas and full sun elsewhere. So it's probably nice in the side garden. Yeah, pinch to encourage blooming, and they are not frost hardy because they're a tropical. And the last one that I might see sow this week is moonflower, and I want to put these. What are you barking at? The birds? Okay, sorry about that. Moonflower, you sow these outside 1 to 2 weeks after your average last frost. So they like heat, or start inside 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before your average last frost date. Roots are sensitive to disturbance, so definitely I should sow these in my soil blocks. So that's something to do when I'm doing my soil blocks. And I think I'll do these when I do my zinnias, actually, because zinnias I'll be going through my zinnias in my next video, and we'll be sowing tons of zinnias. I have so many varieties, and I do plan to soil block those. And the last thing I wanted to mention was I did order some of these 1010 trays from Bootstrap Farmer because as you can see in some of my video, today's video, I show you how my floor here in the greenhouse is um, pretty full with trays where I was potting up a bunch of seeds that I started in those little recycled containers. And when I pot them up, they fill up trays. And so I needed more trays. And then I went ahead and got some 4 cell packs because I noticed that not everything wants, not every cut flower loves being in soil blocks, some more than others. I have experience with zinnias doing really well in soil blocks, but some of the other ones, when there wasn't complete germination in a 1020 tray or a tray, I decided to just pot up the ones that were doing well, and then just get rid of the soil via the cut flower garden bed. Just throw them in there and recycle the soil, the potting soil or seed starting mix. I can't remember which I did. So that is it for today's video. I thank you so much if you've made it this far, and please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.